So, let's talk about one of the most incredible stories in all of sports. Seriously, it's about two guys, two absolute titans, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Their rivalry on the basketball court wasn't just epic, it didn't just define a decade. It literally pulled an entire professional sports league back from the brink of total collapse. I mean, that sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? Could the intense battle between just two people be powerful enough to save an entire sport? Well, that's the big question we're tackling here, and trust me, the answer is even more amazing than you'd think. To really grasp just how huge Magic and Bird's impact was, you first have to understand what the NBA was like right before they showed up. Because it was not the global powerhouse we know today, not even close. Back in the late 1970s, the league was in deep, deep trouble. And when I say trouble, I mean it was dire. Get this, the NBA Finals weren't even shown live on TV. They were on tape delay. Imagine that. The league's reputation was just in the gutter, with stories about widespread drug use. One report estimated that maybe 75% of players were involved. On top of that, you had these simmering racial tensions that were just pushing fans away. The whole thing was about to fall apart. And then everything changed. And the first spark, the moment this whole legendary rivalry ignited, wasn't even in an NBA game. It happened on the college court, in what is still, to this day, one of the most watched basketball games of all time, the 1979 NCAA Championship. What made this rivalry so perfect was that they were complete opposites. On one side, you had Earvin Magic Johnson. Big smile, charismatic, a point guard from Michigan State with this flashy, dazzling style. And on the other, you had Larry Bird, the hick from French Lick, a tough, gritty, no-nonsense forward from tiny Indiana State who just played pure fundamental basketball. It gave the league this perfect, easy-to-follow story it desperately needed: black versus white, city versus country, showtime versus hard work. And when they got drafted by the two biggest rivals in the league, the Lakers and the Celtics, well, the stage was set. Magic's team won that college game, but honestly, that was just the opening act. Because when these two guys came into the pros, they dragged that rivalry, that intensity, and that massive national spotlight right along with them. They were about to become the two faces of the entire NBA. So, we enter the 1980s, and this is where the rivalry just explodes. It stopped being just about two players. Now it was about two dynasties. Magic's Showtime Lakers going up against Bird's tough blue-collar Boston Celtics. It was West Coast flash versus East Coast grit, and the entire country was absolutely hooked. I mean, just look at this. For an entire decade, it felt like you couldn't have an NBA Finals without one of these two teams in it. They were just trading championships back and forth. Magic and the Lakers grabbed the title in 80, 82, 85, 87. Then Bird and the Celtics fire right back in 81, 84, and 86. It was just this incredible, relentless tug of war for the soul of the league. Magic's Lakers, they played a style that they literally called Showtime. And that's exactly what it was, a show. Nonstop fast breaks, these unbelievable no-look passes. It was just thrilling to watch. And Magic, this 6'9" point guard, was the ringmaster of it all. He completely changed the position, and more importantly, he made basketball fun to watch again. And hey, the numbers really tell the story here. They squared off 37 times in their pro careers. And get this, 3 of those matchups were in the NBA Finals, on the absolute biggest stage. Every single game between them felt like an event, and it brought millions of new fans to the sport. For more than a decade, this rivalry was everything. It defined the NBA. But then, a moment came that was so much bigger than basketball. A moment so shocking, so completely out of left field, that it felt like the entire world just stopped. This state, it's just burned into the memory of every sports fan who was around to see it. On this day, a press conference was called that would change everything, not just for the NBA, but for public health and awareness all across the globe. At just 32 years old, still at the height of his fame and skill, Magic Johnson announced to the world that he had tested positive for HIV and was retiring from basketball effective immediately. You have to remember, at that time, an HIV diagnosis was basically seen as a death sentence. The news was just devastating. And the shockwaves went far, far beyond the world of sports. But this is Magic Johnson we're talking about. His story was nowhere near over. In this incredible show of strength and courage, he came back for the 1992 All-Star Game, And in a moment nobody will ever forget, he won the MVP award. Then he teamed up with his old rival Larry Bird on the legendary Dream Team to win Olympic gold. And he even made one last brief, inspiring comeback to the Lakers in '96. He simply refused to let his diagnosis be the end of his story. So, after their playing days were done, a whole new chapter started. Both men went on to build what you could call their second empires, and each of them proved that their greatness, their drive to win, went way beyond the basketball court. Okay, just look at this number. $1 billion. That's the estimated value of Magic Johnson Enterprises. He took that same vision he had on the court and built a business empire. It's just staggering. And his business portfolio is just incredible, from huge partnerships with brands like Starbucks to owning stakes in what feels like half the pro teams in Los Angeles. It's an amazing story of reinvention and success. And this is just wild. 16. That's how many championship rings Magic has won as a player and as a co-owner. The man just knows how to win. But, Larry Bird achieved something just as special, something no one else in NBA history has ever done. He is the only person to ever be named Rookie of the Year, MVP, Finals MVP, All-Star MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year. It just goes to show you, two totally different paths after playing, but both legendary. But you know what? Maybe the most powerful part of this whole story is what happened between these two men. These two guys, the fiercest of rivals, who battled each other for a decade, they ended up building one of the deepest, most genuine friendships you'll ever see in sports. And the league itself puts it perfectly. This official statement says it all. They didn't just play in the NBA, they defined the modern NBA. They were brilliant on their own, but their true legacy, the one that lasts forever, is the one they share. So let's go back to that question from the beginning. Could a single rivalry save a sport? Well, the answer is a clear, resounding yes. But the story became so much bigger than that. It's a story of how the highest level of competition can create the deepest level of respect, and how that respect can grow into a real friendship that means more than any trophy or ring. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. What really makes a legacy? Is it the championships, the awards, the money you make? Or is it something more? Is it the lives you touch, the people you inspire, and the bonds you build along the way? The story of Magic and Bird, well, it makes you think it's all of the above.